Before Khabib Nurmagomedov would hold the longest undefeated streak in MMA with 27 wins and hold on to his title as the UFC lightweight champion of the world after defeating Conor McGregor. Before Khabib would have an Instagram following of over 10 million followers as well as a Twitter following of over 500k at the time of this recording. Before the Eagle would attack Conor McGregor's camp following their match and would be the target of Conor's now infamous bust outburst. At the time of this recording, UFC 229 is just wrapped up, and the world was blown away by Khabib's performance in the octagon. Now, I actually had tickets to watch the fight in Vegas, but I bailed last minute, and I'm glad I did. I'm full Irish, and I wouldn't want Khabib jumping the fence taking out any rage on me. Yikes. Now, as the dust settles and we find out the consequences Khabib will be facing for attacking Conor's entourage, as well as the anticipation building about a rematch, well, let's take a look at the fighter before the fame. And seriously, this dude, he's super famous. I mean, he shot up 4 million Instagram followers this weekend alone. And there's a reason why Conor didn't want to get on the ground with him, because as a kid, well, Khabib, he grew up wrestling bears. For real. What's going on, guys? It's your boy Michael McCrudden, documenting the life and career of Khabib the Eagle Nurmagomedov. Try and say that last name 3 times fast. Here for you on Before They're Famous. Now, we've done profiles on several other world famous fighters, including Floyd Money Mayweather and recently Canelo Alvarez. Now, there were a lot of great fights at UFC 229, and if you guys want me to document someone else, sound off in the comments down below. How about Derek Lewis? That man gave the greatest post-fight speech, well, of all time. But for now, we're going to talk about Khabib. Be sure to subscribe and hit that bell. Boom! Khabib Nurmagomedov was born on September 20th, 1988 in Sildi, a town in the Sumandinsky district of what is now Dagestan, Russia.
Мы выбрали Орел, потому что я с Сумадинского района. С перевода на русский это означает Орлиный район.
Now, his father was a decorated veteran of the Soviet Army who studied martial arts at an early age. He has a younger sister named Amina and an older brother, Magomed. He also has a cousin who is also in the UFC named Abu Bakar. Hope I said that correctly. Now, growing up surrounded by young boys, he refers to a lot of them as his brothers or his cousins, and he regularly posts nostalgic photos via Instagram from his childhood. One in particular, the caption reads, "Sport is competition, and competition, one wins and the other loses. And this is not the most important thing in life. The main thing is that in life, you are a real man and a devoted brother." He also posted this video with the caption, "This is how we have grown in the mountains." Upon moving to Sildi, they lived in a 2-story house with a number of relatives, all sharing the space. Now, if things weren't tight enough, their dad converted the ground floor of their 2-story building into a gym. It was here that young Khabib watched students train in wrestling, and his father was essentially the godfather of MMA for the region. Now, it wasn't long before he got started in the sport himself at the age of just 8 years old. Now, his father, he ran a tight ship with 15 boys, training day and night. They would run constantly, and it was pretty much like being in the army. They would even do some strange Rocky-style training in the mountains. Take a look at this. It has been reported that as a young kid, Khabib, he would often get into street fights, and one fight was so intense, well, I'm surprised he made it out alive, because it was a fight with an actual bear. Now, the bear, it was chained up, and this was a playtime that he would regularly partake in. I got a question what he did for his 13th birthday. Was he like wrestling a shark? I don't know. Now, obsessed with athleticism, Khabib moved on to more practical ways of fighting. He picked up martial arts, and then when he moved to the town of Makashkala, and that was at 12, well, there he continued to wrestle. He also switched to judo by 15, and in an interview at the UFC, he stated, "My childhood was pretty normal. My father wanted me to study, and I wanted to become a professional athlete. He and I always had a misunderstanding over this issue, but my father eventually realized that I had a gift for fighting, and he started training me to become the world's best in 2005. In 2008, at the age of 20, he made his MMA debut, quickly compiling 4 wins in just under a month of fighting. In October of that year, Khabib would compete in the Atrium Cup tournament in Moscow, and Khabib would soon find himself undefeated in every match over a 3-year period. After scoring a 16-0 record, the UFC came a-calling. In 2011, Khabib signed a 6-fight deal with the organization. In January of the following year, the Russian fighter found himself in unfamiliar territory. We're talking about Nashville, Tennessee. It was here that the fighter made his UFC debut. As a lightweight, he squared up against Comas, and he defeated him in the 3rd round. The 24-year-old Khabib would sure make the most out of his 6-fight deal, training out of the AKA gym in San Jose, California. He kept his skills on point, building himself into a fighting machine the sport hadn't quite seen before. Over the next 5 fights, he was undefeated, proving himself to be a worthy adversary to any champion looking to get a piece of his action. Commenting on his commitment to MMA, he stated, "It was hard living in the US at first, however my life consists of training, religion, sleep, and meals. Following this principle, it's easy to get used to anything." In June of 2013, Khabib got married. He and his wife, they have a daughter and a son. Now, balancing his family life with MMA hasn't proven to be a problem for the man. The fights kept on rolling as he continued to take down opponents that included April Trujillo, Pat Healy, and Rafael dos Anjos. I'm hoping I didn't butcher too many of those names. If I do before they're famous than any of these guys, I'll be sure to get it spot on. Just a lot of names. Now in late 2014, just before a scheduled fight with Donald Cerrone, Khabib was forced to back out due to an ankle injury. Not only did the fight have to be scrapped, our guy, he was out for the rest of the year.
I don't want to be injured. I don't want to go to the hospital and make surgery, make rehab 4 months. I didn't want this, but sometimes this happened.
What happened next in his career was the beginning of what would become essentially a UFC game of phone tag. In December of 2015, Khabib was scheduled to fight Tony Ferguson. Unfortunately, at the very last minute, he was forced to back out due to another injury. Now the two, they were rescheduled in 2016, but this time Tony, he had to pull out due to issues with his lungs. They were scheduled again for a 3rd time in 2017, but due to problems with weight cutting, Khabib, he called it off. A 4th date was scheduled for April of 2018, but Tony, he then injured his knee. In April of 2018, he beat Al Elquinta, becoming the UFC lightweight champion of the world. He also carries the distinction of being the first Russian, as well as the first Muslim to hold this title. Now with champ status, he first set his eyes on a match with Georges St. Pierre, but things don't normally go as planned. Instead, he was matched up against the one and only Conor McGregor, in what would quickly become the most highly anticipated UFC fight to date. Now the pressure was on for McGregor, making his long-awaited return to the sport after a 2-year hiatus, and there was already tension brewing between the two fighters. You remember that whole bus attack incident? Well, Khabib, he was on that bus.
I mean, that was like assault. He threw a dolly at a car. People got their eyes cut, their face cut.
After a minor altercation with fellow Russian fighter and friend of Conor's, Artem Lobov, McGregor confronted Khabib, who was leaving Brooklyn's Barclays Center on the bus. Now running up alongside the vehicle, he grabbed a metal dolly and he heaved the object at the window, injuring fighter Ray Borg and Michael Chisa. Now Conor, he was later arrested. He pleaded no contest and was sentenced to 5 days community service. And well, he also had to go to some anger management courses. How ironic. I mean, he's a fighter.
I just want to say I'm thankful to the DA and the judge for allowing me to move forward. I want to say to my friends, my family, my fans, thank you for the support.
Following the attack, Khabib, he had this to say.
Come here. Send me a message, like location, I'm gonna come. Wherever you want, doesn't matter. Ireland, New York, Brooklyn, or Moscow, doesn't matter.
With the two announced to go head-to-head in the ring, the tension, it reached a boiling point really quickly. And Conor, well, he antagonized his soon-to-be competitor, stating things like this. I think I'm gonna turn Khabib into a bobblehead, to be honest. It's personal, but it's the same. It's always a little personal, but in there, like I say, it's a blank face and a new body. But I predict I see his head, I see him turning into a bobblehead when I hit him, I feel his brain is going to rattle when he gets a clatter of me. That's what I'm in my head. I'm a veteran now, I will be prepared for 5 rounds, I will be prepared for any scenario, and that's it. I'm well trained, I've put in the work, and I'm confident going in no matter where it goes. To fuel the flames, he also added, I just thank the Lord Jesus Christ that man hadn't got the balls to step foot off the bus. Because trust me, or that bus door had opened, this man would be dead right now, this man would be in a box, and I'd be in a cell. And we would not have this great fight ahead of us. Now, as we all know, it was the Notorious who tapped out in the 4th round from a rear naked choke at 3 minutes and 3 seconds. And this solidified Khabib's victory, and he maintained his title as the undefeated UFC lightweight champion of the world. Now, Khabib, he then jumped the fence attacking members of Conor's team, and these fighters, they're not allowed to throw punches outside of the ring because they're actually considered deadly weapons. Like, as people, they're walking around killing machines. So Khabib, he can now be stripped of his lightweight title, and he can be banned from competing in Nevada. Now, Gregor, he was also attacked by Khabib's entourage following the fight, and while he recovered from the match, he was, just choked out, but he decided he would not press any charges against these men. Khabib spoke at the post-fight press conference to apologize for his actions, but defended them by claiming that these were the result of being provoked by McGregor, who taunted Khabib about his religion, his Russian background, and he insulted his father. Now, I actually watched this fight at a bar in Toronto, and there was a guy who just walked outside and then passed out. Boom! And there was a blood splatter hit me in the shoe. And that was after the girls fought. It was just, guys, be careful out there. If you're a fighter or just a spectator, these things get messy. As for the rest of the story, well, I guess we'll have to wait and see because this is before they're famous. Now, if there's a rematch, guys, would you put your money behind Conor McGregor or Khabib? I'd like to hear what you guys have to say, and I look forward to reading all your comments down below. My name is Michael McCrudden, and I'll see you guys in another video. Boom!